We're kicking off another day here, and it's a hot one, of course. Whew. Wait, just turn the heat on, man. What the hell? All right, here we're moving along on the deck. We're planning on finishing this up today, or at least getting the majority of the fiberglass in. It depends on whether our Bondo resin kicks off a little too radically. I already made another order for the other stuff again. I don't know. Maybe it's just accustomed to it or whatever. I mean, this Bondo stuff would be excellent for repairs, which that's the majority, a lot of this stuff is. But we do have some balsa wood that we're going to have to install in the deck. Back here, the plywood I would assume would go in here. Pretty sure it's plywood. And as I say, I've got seats to build and I've got a motor box to build. So I'm just going ahead and I bought another 5-gallon bucket. Another 20 bucks on top of what Home Depot would sell, but for the convenience it's so much better. So like I said, we're going to go ahead and finish these off, or at least to get them as done as possible, and that way sometime this week we can start building the seats, because I want to get the seats built at least in wood before we take the top off. That way I know how they sit, how long they need to be, where they sit, how they sit, the whole 9 yards. But I can't do that with it off the boat and just doing it by measurements. I mean, a couple millimeters here is short, and all of a sudden you got gaps everywhere. But today, more fiberglassing, more grinding, more of the same. Alrighty, we're building away, and in the process of doing this, we've come to a conclusion that the Bondo, again, is totally different. I'm not going to criticize it. What I am going to say about it is that the US Composites material is like runny maple syrup from the dollar store. This is heavy maple syrup, maybe halfway to molasses. And with that, meaning it's thicker, it doesn't want to saturate up the cloth or the mat as fast or as easily. Also, even says on the can, if you make up a big batch, the chemical reaction or the thermal reaction from the chemicals will set it off in the bucket even faster than it normally would if you made up smaller batches. So our conclusion is, this is repair material, not build material. And that's what we're stuck with until US Composites gets their order up here, which will probably be at another 6 or 7 days. So we'll see what happens there, because I'm not going to use this to build the seats. I mean, I'd tab in the seats and stuff like that, or tab them together, whatever is necessary to build something. But I don't want to do big sheets in this, even though I have to do 2 more, one here and one here today. I don't know. I think I'll wait for the sun to go down, whatever it happens to be. I found if I use like less than a quart, I can get it done before it ends. Anything over that, the thermal reaction in the cup itself will set it off. And the first thing you do with it too is you get it out here, and say if I'm doing this one and that one, I'll spread both of them real fast. I don't even care if it goes off, because you just want it out of the cup so it doesn't thermo react and set off right in the cup and turn you into a giant hockey puck. But more of this to come. And then a little sanding, and then we'll be doing some fairing and all that good stuff. Goodbye, number 14. Oh, and I do have other boats too, don't I? Hello, Mr. Beesmeyer. Hello, Nova Race Boat. Hello, Crab Killer. Oh, we just saw you. Well, there it is in all its glory. We got all the layers of glass mat that we wanted to get down. We just finished up the tabbing. It's probably a good time to do some fiberglassing, but we're just done with this Bondo stuff. As I said before, I'm not knocking it. It's good for what it's probably for. Just quick, small patches. It's not made for large sheets and saturation and all that good stuff. But as I said, we did get all our layers down that we wanted. Everything's sealed up. Yeah, I just jumped down on this deck and it's solid as a rock. Wait a second. That's a duck. Another perching duck. Okay, we're have been working on something for a couple days here, and I'll have to take you down into the engine room to show you. Okay, down in the engine room here, I've been creating the last couple days with little pieces of glass and resin this lip all the way around here, and actually it sticks down about another ½ inch or so. It's only going to be, I don't know, 3/8, maybe a ¼ inch below the actual deck itself. But when water comes in over the deck, it won't want to go under the deck and run backwards. It'll actually have this lip here, so it'll wash off. And of course the sides over here, you know, they'll go over and down, so that's not a problem there. I was a little concerned about this overhang though. I didn't like that. So, and to give it a nice finishing touch, we'll clean it up and we'll cut it off. I'm going to put 2 or 3 more layers on it, make it as thick as it should be, you know, normally, since we don't have a mold and we're not going to make one just for this. So we'll just do it over a couple days. It is about 8 o'clock, maybe a little after at this point. Like I said, this stuff is so hard to work with in these situations because if you work with a big sheet, it's going off before the actual sheet's even finished. If you do tabbing, the tabbing will sit there for 45 minutes and not be, you know, fully cured. It'll still be very, and this stuff stays very tacky even when it is cured. So we're just going to leave this overnight and call it a day and come back tomorrow, and it'll be fill day then. No more mat. We're just going to be filling in the ups and downs, so to speak. Till then. How y'all are on another day. I've gone ahead and got started doing some of the dirty work. It's 95 degrees out right now. It's hot, 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 and of course it's always fun to be grinding fiberglass in 95 degrees, but it had to be done. When I was looking at some film last night, some older film, I'm trying to figure out what's going on with this Bondo over here. I've been using this stuff for years and I haven't had nearly the amount of problems I had the last couple days. I mean, maybe this stuff was old. I don't know. I do know that what I said earlier about it being thicker and everything else and about saturation is all true. But one thing I did notice is I started the transom with this. And in the back of my mind, I had, you know, it only takes so much cabosil to mix up with a cup of resin and to make it into a putty kind of consistency. And when I started using the stuff from US Composites, I started running through cabosil like crazy. So I came to the conclusion that this may actually be better than the US Composites when I want to make a filler. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use this last gallon just for filler. So we're going to try to use it and level out these decks here a little bit. And we're going to hold off and wait for the other stuff to show up before we do any real building. we're moving forward, that's for sure. I'm not saying we're breaking light speed here, but we are moving forward. I went ahead and I got 2 motor mount blocks built up. Little 6x6 built on top of each other, cut at the angle of the hull. Went over here, finished my fill on both of the ends here, and did the cabosil and wax fill all the way around the outside edge. So that's just, well, it's probably set up by now, but it's just so hot out right now, I don't even want to fool with it anymore. So I went ahead and I started up my lines for my motor mounts, and then once the lines started, it was like, well, I might as well make them while I'm still over here in the shade. And next thing you know, I've got motor mounts made and lines done, so I'm going to probably get these things installed here in a few minutes. We've reached 8:30 on another night. We did get a few things done up there in the front. We got all our fills done, including the crack all the way around. So that's ready to be sanded and worked with basically body putty from this point on. We are floating, a flooring term again, because it's the only thing I know, this area and this area here. And what do we do with that is basically we skim coat the floor with some poly and cabosil mix, get it straightened out somewhat, let it set off, come back to a little sanding, and then go over it again and maybe a third time. That'll smooth it out. It should be about as smooth as the rest of the deck after that. I was a flooring installer for 25 years, so I'm okay at this. And last but not least, which seems like it went on forever today because we did put in about 7 or 8 hours here. Well, maybe a little less than that, but it's just because of the heat and everything else. Some things kicked off, other things didn't. I mean, it was so strange. Like even these motor mounts here, I set them the exact same way. With what I do is I mix up the poly first and with the hardener, and then I throw in a bunch of chop strand and mix that all together so it saturates up. And then I'll add a little cabosil to it to actually thicken it up so it doesn't, you know, just turn into a big runny mess. And I did that to both of these. Same exact procedure. That one over there kicked off almost immediately. This one over here, I'm not sure if it's kicked off yet. It wasn't the last time I touched it, and that was about 10 minutes ago. But I'm not even going to bother to crawl back in the boat at this point because I know these other areas are wet. So I'm just going to put the top on. We're going to strap down hard tonight because apparently we have some thunderstorms that are going to be either here tonight or tomorrow morning. But I mean, honestly, we really don't have to worry about it. We just don't want the boat getting wet now. You know, I mean, why let it get all wet, and from what dust is in it, it'll turn into a big soupy mess. But as for it getting wet, it wouldn't hurt a darn thing. I mean, honestly, at some point here, eventually, I'm going to want to actually get it wet by hosing this thing out again because the dust is collecting. But I'm tired. I'm done. We're going to do it again tomorrow. Here I come to save the day. Yeah, some of you older folks may actually recognize that. Yesterday was a complete washout. Again, this is the problem of doing restores in your driveway and not in a nice heated, air-conditioned, lighted, and sheltered garage. And it's supposed to be raining right now, and tomorrow is also supposed to be a total washout. So we're going to go ahead and try to attack a few things in between rainstorms here. Like I just got hit with a water drop, which I'm not sure if it came off a tree or not, but I would not doubt if it actually fell out of the sky. As I said, it's supposed to be raining right now, but I just got tired of waiting for it to rain. So we're going to come out here. I'm going to work on our deck a little bit. I've got out the big 7-inch grinder. That way we can get them smoothed out a little better. And I got limited amount of fiberglass right now, resin. And oh, we got ourselves a nice big puddle right there. We don't want to put the electrical cord in. It's nice to see a puddle there, then instead of it seeping down behind the glass. But that's all good. We'll get that sopped up in a second. What little glass we do have, we're going to see if we can utilize it best. Another at least 48 hours before my shipment shows up from US Composites. I'm waiting on that one, I'll tell you. And like I said, I know I'm harping on this Bondo stuff, and it has its purpose, but it's not what I'm doing. And it's really kind of holding me back here. So as I said, I'm going to tinker around with some stuff, see what I can get done today in between rainstorms. I really need to throw in a voiceover 10 seconds later. It's about how long it was before I stopped filming the last segment and we had rain. Yummy. Even though the sun's out, we're still getting hit with sprinkles. So in the process, it's 85 degrees out here. It's not like we're going to get hypothermia or anything standing in these drizzles. I went ahead and installed our Tow Smart swing down trailer jack. It's got a 1,000 pound capacity. I have the same one over here on my 19. I've had it on there for, I don't know, 10, 12, 15 years. I mean, these things are hosses. They'll lift more than 1,000 pounds. The only problem is right now, with no motor or no outdrive or anything else in the boat at the moment, there's probably, I don't know, 1,500 pounds on the tongue. So I really don't want to overstress it right out of the box for no reason at all. So we're just going to leave it up on its blocks for now. But at least I know I have a trailer jack now that works, because the other one, as you can see, is a little bit bent, and it's bent inside the shaft, and you can actually see the whole thing. I mean, I don't know what happened to it. It took a hit and it ain't coming back from it. But I am going to scarf some parts. You know, try to save anything you can. That wheel right there, yeah, they're a little expensive, and of course I have another one over there in case it breaks. That handle, it's another one. I have broken those handles off before, so we'll be taking that also. Anything and everything. 10 seconds later. And just like that, we were chased off once again. Ugh, this is frustrating. Yeah, we're getting it rubbed in our face now. The sun is out and it's raining. Beautiful. Working on my tan in the rainstorm. It's been about 45 minutes now. Sun's been out and it is still raining. On a rainy day, there really hasn't been a whole lot to talk about. In between raindrops here, we went ahead and we did all the body filling all the way around. Got 2 or 3 coats on with that. Put multiple coats on where the big parts are. That way it's nice and thin. It's not really heavy, you know, not a lot of sanding. Did go ahead and float out our 2 back spaces here once again, as they are getting wet now. But they actually kicked off and dried up. And I went ahead and I sanded them down again, and I'm ready to do another one, but as you can see, they're getting wet at the moment, so that's not going to happen. And to add to the misery, I am out of fiberglass resin. So tomorrow I probably will be doing body filler and working with that, because it's 2 days until it shows. And 2 days means anytime during that day, meaning it could show up here at 6 o'clock at night and pretty much be useless. And now I need to get this thing locked down before we get another downpour like we had earlier today. It's just one of these days you don't want to start, because you have no clue where you're going to end up. Man, listen to frogs. Here we are on another day, and we don't know what's going to happen today, because we actually got thunder in the background as we speak. We got neighbors mowing their lawns, and I've got my sander out because I'm out of resin, so I got to do something today. So I figured I'd do some sanding on the deck and try to get it mostly straightened out on the front half. Hold on a second, old man has to get in boat. And what the heck, I've got the paper, I've got the sander, and I don't have resin, so I might as well do some sanding. See if I can get these finished up. This deck feels really nice. Okay, we just finished up sanding the deck. Everything's pretty good so far. Have some minor little spots that we want to go over again that made themselves apparent after the deck sanding. Of course, they won't show up, and there'll probably be more things that'll show up even after we wash it out. But we're making progress here, even though we got thunder all around us all day. Yeah, we're playing a little risky game out here with our electric sander, but I got to get something done. This is driving me crazy. This is like day 3 or 4 in a row that's been pretty much been socked because of rain, or at least for them calling for rain, so we wouldn't like set up for anything, and then it wouldn't rain all day and we'd just be doing little things all day when we could have done a big project. So like I said, we went ahead, we finished up with our Rage Evercoat, did our little spots over again. I think I'm going to pretty much cover up the boat as much as I can. And these little spots can sit, who cares? And I think I'm going to work on the transom a little bit. That way the boat's already covered in case we do get a downpour, because it seems like we are the focal point and everything's moving into us, and from all directions too, and eventually it is going to get here and be a big mess. So let's get prepared. Alright, I'm just sitting around jamming right now in the garage. In racetrack terms, we've lost the track. We had a shower come through not too long ago and kind of wasted everything. And it's still spitting on us, and it's, what, 7:15? Yeah, something like that. So we're pretty much done for the night. We did get to sand the front deck. That was good. It's about 98% ready. I mean, we're only going to paint it with some Rust-Oleum, so I mean, it's not like it's going to be something special anyway. The Rust-Oleum tends to cover up a lot of those little pock marks and such because it can be filled and it hardens up when you add the hardener. We also got a lot of work done on the transom, which was unexpected, to be honest. That last thing was on my mind, was transom outside body work, but since everything was covered up and we had the access to it in between these little sprinkles, started off with about 80 grit. It's a little aggressive with some body filler, but you know, we had a lot of body filler on here. And we got up to about 120, and we've gotten down to basically starting to fill in all the little tiny things where we can find things wrong, which is a big difference from when it got here with its giant holes all through it. And this transom's I would say 75% ready for paint. I mean, that's impressive. Tomorrow they're calling for rain all day long, and it's pretty much a total wipeout, so we're not really expecting to get much done. We'll be prepared if the chance arises, but as I said, we're not really thinking that anything's going to get done. We'll see. Who knows? The shipment does arrive tomorrow. That's a plus. And with the shipment, it comes in all the fiberglass and cabosil and even a few other things that I need for future projects. I thought, why not just get the whole order done at one time? But until then, we're done. Cargo passed. Balsa wood that we're going to have to put into the and in the last episode we were up to this point, and in this episode we're going to go to that point. I'm still on the bow. Be dangerous. All right, let's do this again as we were so. We're gonna start another day here. We should do that differently. What the hell? No wonder I don't see any squirrels. Damn, I got some fiberglass in my eye. Mark don't feel good. Oh. Thunder. Wonderful. Gonna do that again. And a brand new battery is blinking now. Son of a